All right, welcome everybody to another Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. I am the co-host today, Dave Savage. I've got as my co-host today, Josh Mettle. He'll be joining us any minute now. I think he's on a mastermind session with Tim Brahim, and he'll be joining us in the next 5 minutes. I'll bring him in as he comes. But our special guest today is the one, the only, Bill Hillestad. What's up, Bill?
Not much, Dave. How are you?
I'm great, buddy. So I think this might be the first interview of 2019, but in 2018, I think we did 3 calls and they were among the most watched, the most commented, and some of the best calls. So it's been too long, brother.
Yeah, it has been too long. I love doing this stuff. Love sharing.
Well, we're looking forward to it. I promoted this around digital marketing and StoryBrand. StoryBrand by Donald Miller is a book that I'd say it's probably my book of 2019. It was referred to me, wow, I don't know how many times over the past few years, but I finally read it. I interviewed Donald Miller, and I think that might be the most valuable book I've read in 2019. When did you first read that book, brother?
I was wondering that same thing. So I just opened up mystorybrand.com. I don't know if everybody in the community has started using that yet, but it's an online tool where you just answer questions and it builds your story brand. And I'm looking at my first story brand, and it was January of 17.
Yeah, so leave it to Bill to be ahead of the curve. You're usually a couple years ahead of me on just about everything.
Hardly. Random chance there. But yeah, I actually wrote my first story brand. I probably sold at least a couple hundred story brand books for Donald. Huge fan.
Good. Well, it's an honor as always. So for anyone who doesn't know who Bill Hillestad is, I met Bill and shared a stage with Bill over 20 years ago. It's probably 22 years ago. And to me, Bill has just always been a futurist and a marketing guru. He's always ahead of the curve, and he's always figuring out how to do a better job with marketing. And back then, 20 years ago, it was all about CRM. You were talking about CRM, and remember that used to be like a new idea. The concept of storing contacts on a computer and using technology to follow up with people. And today that's really evolved to, the modern day CRM is social media. It's Facebook, it's LinkedIn, it's Instagram, it's YouTube and other channels. So if you did not watch any of my interviews with Bill last year, I can't recommend enough. You go back. I'll put a link to my favorite one down below. And that was where I learned that you could take all of your contacts out of LinkedIn and then upload those and create custom groups into Facebook. That was a big win for me last year, brother. So
yeah, well, that was like 60,000 people. I remember when we did that. By the way, that's gone. You can no longer take everybody out of LinkedIn and put them into Facebook. You can still convert all your friends on Facebook into followers on your Facebook page, but Tom Peters said it best. By the time something works, it's obsolete. Stuff changes constantly, and honestly, that's the coolest part about the digital stuff, because there's a new opportunity almost every other month. Things are always disappearing, and that always opens up new doors and new opportunities. Facebook just took away targeting for loan officers and realtors. You can no longer target on any demographic information because you're in a special ad category. And I hear everybody whining and up in arms, and all I've seen is everybody jumped out of the game, and my cost per lead fell by half since that happened, because that wasn't the right way to target anyway. People were doing the wrong stuff, but now it chased everybody off. So all those changes are opportunities. But yeah, no more LinkedIn, sadly.
Yeah, no more LinkedIn. Well, still use LinkedIn, guys.
Oh yeah.
But the concept of taking all your data out of there and putting it in other social media is just no longer the play. So it does look like Josh has joined us. Let me do a little sound check. Josh, are you there, my friend?
I am here. Good morning.
Good morning, man.
You too, brother.
Good morning, Josh. Long time no talk.
I know. I'm stoked to learn from you two today.
We'll see who's the teacher and who's the student.
Well, I'm sure we'll go back and forth on that. And I want to remind everybody watching this is a mastermind. So if you have questions, you're watching it in Facebook Live, ask question and comments. I'll check them out. And if you're watching this from Zoom and you have questions or comments, put them down below. I'll be, checking that out. So, I had asked Josh to join us. I didn't realize the backstory you guys had together. Josh, what was your backstory with Bill, and when did you first start working with him?
Bill, I can't remember who connected us, but you did some help with me when we were doing some of our online presence, some of the stuff we were doing with a CRM back in the day. And I've been just kind of a silent follower and admirer of your work. I remember the interview you did on Mortgage Coach with Dave a year or two ago when you talked about exporting from LinkedIn into Facebook, or maybe it was vice versa. And I got all my marketing people to watch it. So really been a fan of yours since we first met.
Oh, very cool. I think it was Bill Hart who first introduced us. We did a bunch of SEO web stuff for you back then, and just a bunch of coaching. But yeah, that's the fan category is mutual and a two-way relationship.
So guys, let's start by, all of us have read StoryBrand. You guys have all watched the interview that I did with Donald recently, and there were some important takeaways, and I would love for just the three of us to share our takeaways and then get into digital marketing and what a referral-based local mortgage professional should be doing in 2020. So Bill, why don't we just start with you? You know the mortgage coach community as well as anyone. What do you think some of the most important takeaways are from that book or from the interview that I did with him that they should really be making note of?
Well, probably a little bit different from my perspective. Huge fan of Be the Guide, Not the Hero, etc. But the one that I have the hardest time driving home to, especially mortgage real estate professionals, is people have to understand that 95%, this is empirical objective data, 95% of buying decisions are emotionally based, not logic. People make decisions based on emotion, and we always want to sell logic in the same way that we want to be the hero. We always want to try and hit people with all the important information about how good I am, important I am, my company, my rates, that's not how people make decisions. And Donald Miller just brought forward a concept that's been around forever, the hero's journey originally, which all great stories have that same, there has to be a setup, conflict, resolution. There has to be a hero, a guide, and a villain. And we just miss that. But if people would stop boring me to death with all the junk about mortgage, the most successful content marketing programs that I execute with people rarely sell much at all. It needs to be at least 80% of your content is created purely for the recipient. Just make them like you. Josh, I don't know if you recognize it or not, but man, that's why you crush it so well with all of your videos and your content. I like that guy. He looks successful, he looks smart, but I like him. That's it. You make people like you and keep them from forgetting you, you win. That's it. End of story. And the story approach to it is the most effective.
I love that. Josh, what are a few of your takeaways that you think are most important to the mortgage coach community?
Oh man, it's like it's hard for me to know where to start. Thanks for your kind words, Bill. I appreciate that. I think the biggest takeaways from the book, and for anyone who hasn't read the book or really dived in, it really, to me, I don't know if you felt the same way, Bill, but it was like the culmination of at least 10 years of reading and studying marketing and being, I'm a part of Genius Network, who's like this incredible marketing group that from all the entrepreneurs all across the world. And like the book just tied all of those thought processes and all of those books and all those things that I know to be true together in a way that was incredibly simple for me to understand. And I feel like, I'm still in the infancy of really implementing this stuff. I've been in the digestion phase for the last 60 days. But what I would say the biggest takeaways that stand out to me, as Bill said, is I was falling into the mistake of making myself the hero. And that's such a subtle mistake to make, because you do, as Bill said, you do want to position yourself as the expert, as the authority, as somebody who knows what's going on. And I certainly don't want to let go of that. I still want to control that piece and that perception, and I want that to be true, but it's the way I tell the story. What's important about me being an expert or an authority is that it enables me to help the hero of the story, which is the client. And if you're telling the story so you can be the expert authority, instead of telling the story so that you have this set of skills and knowledge, which gives you a unique ability to overcome the external and internal challenges and problems that your client is experiencing, you're missing the mark. And it's just a subtle change. We just did an exercise yesterday where we re-went through our whole website. And you know, we took off about 50% of the words. We drastically changed the focal point of who the hero is in the story. And we went about trying to communicate, not that we know everything, but we wanted to communicate, we understand your challenges. We understand that this can be scary, it can be frustrating, it can be hard, especially if you're our clientele, because we cater to the toughest of clients, the people that, you know, if somebody's been declined somewhere else, that's the client I want to help, and that's who we attract. And so if we're speaking to those people first and foremost, telling them that we understand you, and these are the challenges that we are capable to help you overcome, and at the end of that story, there's going to be a happy ending, just like the 15 testimonials below us that say they got declined somewhere else and then had the greatest mortgage experience. That's how we're trying to repackage who we are and how we deliver the story to our clients.
Love that, Josh. And I particularly appreciate how transparent you are, you know, sharing some of your new videos that you're working on, you know, kind of like giving us a behind the scenes look at some of the makeover you're doing online. So make sure you follow Josh online. Just super grateful on behalf of everybody in the mortgage coach community, just how transparent you are. So my takeaways are, you know, they're pretty well thought out, because I wrote an article with Kristen Messerly, and I really wanted to make sure that I took, you know, there's a dozen takeaways that you can get from the book. There's probably a half dozen that you could have got from the interview. But to me, the three most important ones that I really want to drive home with the mortgage coach community, it is, and we'll say it over and over, probably all year long, you know, always be the guide, don't be the hero. And it's much easier said than done. And to your point, Josh, I don't think that means that you don't brag about having a monster month. I don't think that means you don't, if you're the #1 loan officer in a city, a state, I don't think it means that you can't showcase that. I think just the way you showcase that is different, you know, and maybe we could talk about that tactically at some point in the call. But I would ask everybody in the mortgage coach community, really look at what you're presenting online, look at your emails, look at how you're communicating, and are you showing up as the guide, and are you making both your borrowers and your referral partners, are you making them the hero? So I think that's pivotal. You know, this one, keep it simple, you know, make sure that what you're showing is making it, you know, like we love the teacher that can give us an hour's worth of content in 5 to 10 minutes. And so the more you can simplify and make it very consumer centric, #2. And #3, and I really didn't see this coming. I mean, obviously clarity and transparency is important, but I loved how Donald, you know, he intuitively understood the mortgage coach total cost analysis. And what he loved about it was that, one, it's making your advice visual and simple. And then 2, it's making every other loan officer that's not delivering the cost over time, and they're not making things visually simple, like a total cost analysis, you're making them the villains. So it's like, you know, it's like playing chess in marketing. Obviously, being Mr. Mortgage Coach, that was my favorite takeaway from the interview. Bill, any comments on those takeaways or on that concept?
Agree completely, especially the last point when you're talking about, you know, making everybody else the villain. I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but there has to be a villain. There has to be conflict so there can be resolution. So when you're talking about this, you're always trying to find a way, how can I set up the tension so I can relieve the tension? In this case, something like, you know, sadly, my industry tends to be full of commodity providers who really do nothing more than draw a line in the sand and say, this is what you qualify for, this is what you don't. And when it comes to things like all of the rates and fees and points and it's a bunch of smoke and mirrors. All that really matters at the end of the day is the total cost. My job is to make sure that you qualify for the highest loan amount, the best programs, and the lowest total cost, or to minimize what you pay. Anybody that's not talking about the total cost, I automatically get suspect. And somehow I want to try and work that kind of scripting in there to differentiate me. And I have to, you have to have a villain. You have to, and whether it's your industry, never make it individual. Like I said, you don't want to badmouth people, but it is true. This industry is full of people that are just commodity providers, just salespeople. They're not working to minimize my total cost. So make sure that your scripting is highlighting the need. You have to have the tension so you can have the resolution.
Yeah, I love that script. The only consideration for everybody out there is when you say total cost, refer to total cost over 5 years generically, or refer to total cost over a time that they told you was important to them. Like if they told you, yeah, I wanna move up into a bigger home in 4 years, 5 years, total cost over 5 years. If they told you they want to have their house paid off in 15 years, total cost over 15 years. So make sure that you're playing that chess move beyond transactional fees, because every loan officer provides a fee worksheet, and you make sure you're showing total cost, defaults 5 years, unless you have a time that's relevant to the family. Josh, anything you want to add to that before we kind of move on in this interview?
I'll just say bravo. I love that scripting, Bill. And I'll tie back to something that you just reminded me of that I took a note on. You said earlier, you said 95% of buying decisions are made off of emotion. And when we talk about emotion, what I think of is connection. So in other words, I was having dinner with a gentleman last night. He was 36 years old. He just bought his first home in New York. And I didn't do his loan. I just met him last night for the first time. And I was talking to him about that experience. And he is in the film industry. And so he'd had like 7 jobs, 1099, W-2, because they work, 27 days on, 3 months off, 3 months on, 2 weeks off. And he started out at Quicken and then ended up at several other banks, Wells, Chase, no connection, no emotional connection, just very kind of cold, rigid. Finally found a broker through a testimonial online. You'll love that. And in the testimonial, it said, I'm in the film industry, and this is the only guy who could get my loan done, and I give him thumbs up. So he calls the guy, and he says, I decided I was going to do business with him in the first 30 seconds I was on the phone with him. I was persuaded to do business with him because of the testimonial and how I found him. But then when I talked to him, he started asking me questions about my family. And then, it like evolved from like, dude, who are you as a person? What's going on with your family? Where are you living now? Where do you want to move to? Have you checked out the schools and the parks? And then evolved into a mortgage conversation. And he's like, I knew right away this was my person because we started to connect. So just going back to what you said, Bill, Quicken didn't connect with him emotionally. Chase didn't connect with him emotionally. Wells didn't. In 30 seconds, he made a decision. This is my guy. He's asked me about my family, and he has good reviews online. Done.
Yeah, we tend to make our decisions. Blink is a great book on the topic. In about 8 seconds, and then all the logic stuff, the word for it, your vocabulary word of the day, is confabulation. we make up all the logic junk to rationalize and feel good about the decision we made emotionally. And the irony is, in all the research, the emotional decisions are way more accurate and in our best interest to a greater degree than when we really do try to logic our way through it, whether it's buying cars, choosing a loan officer, whatever it is. Just recognize that anytime you start going down the logic path, you're losing them. Friends do business with friends. He or she with the most friends wins, all that kind of stuff. That's where it's at. That's what you try to use the story branding stuff for. And by the way, I got to give you guys one more that will rock your world. It's the completion or the application of the story brand. It's Marcus Sheridan. They Ask, You Answer is the book. And just the quick backstory, Dave, we might have even talked about river pools and spas in the past, but little bitty pool and spa company in Richmond, Virginia, 2008. They're number 5 in the market, 2-month waiting list. Life is good. By 2009, all 3 partners are losing their houses, brink of bankruptcy, about to go out of business. And Marcus is the guy in the office who has nothing to do all day because there's no business. So he starts recording FAQ videos, and they're bad. No offense, Marcus, but they're bad. You know, what is the difference between bromine and chlorine other than the spelling? Haha. Anyway, but he does this all day, every day. Well, skip the whole story. By 2012, they are the number 1 pool and spa installer in Richmond, Virginia. By 2015, number 1 pool and spa installer in the country. Riverpoolsandspas.com has become the number 1 pool and spa website in the world. Now Marcus has an agency and makes his living doing speaking and writing books and is doing other stuff. But it was all about They Ask, You Answer. And he made this decision in 2009 when he was about to lose his house that he was going to answer every question anybody ever asked, regardless of what the question was. So the questions were things like, you know, Marcus, I like you guys. I think I might go with you. But in the event that I went with somebody else, who would you recommend? And any of us would go, oh, well, there's nobody else like me. No, he felt guilty. He went home. He wrote an article, The 5 Best Pool Builders in Richmond, Virginia, and didn't include river pools and spas. Wrote it from the perspective of, if I just moved here. And so you kind of get the plug in there, but he also answered all the hard questions that we tend to avoid. And it takes me back to, I did a white paper with Jerry Detweiler back in 2003 called Credit Traps, the 27 biggest scams, tricks, and gimmicks that unscrupulous lenders use to separate you from your hard-earned dollars. And I disclosed the 27 scams I'd seen in my lifetime around the various sectors of the finance industry, mortgage, credit card, business leasing, you name it. That thing was getting 30,000 downloads a month within a few months. Gave them all names, and most of those names are in Wikipedia, Urban Dictionary, whatever today. People love somebody that's willing to be honest and just give. You got to let go of selling, just give. And stop putting up stuff. Everybody puts up stuff. That's why I have such a hard time with all the mortgage videos I see. It's not stuff anybody wants to consume. It's what you want to say. It's what you want to explain. It's what you want to sell. Give me what I want to know. And there's simple ways to find out what people want to know, but just give. And by the way, that is a unbelievable book. For anybody that wants to take the story branding to the next level.
So I'd ask to anybody in the community, if you wrote down that book or you searched it and bought it on Amazon, share the link in comments down below for everybody else. Thank you for that. So I want to keep the theme of story branding throughout this entire call, so we can talk about that as much as we want. But I also want to make sure we provide a checklist of what does it mean to build, you know, a brand, a local brand, using digital marketing. And so in this conversation so far, you know, having online reviews has come up, and I can tell you guys, you know, having online reviews is essential as a local provider in today's market. If you are with a company that has social survey, remind your management team that there's an integration, and Mortgage Coach will show your social survey integration at the bottom. but that's a must. Bill just mentioned YouTube, and having a YouTube channel. If I was a local mortgage professional, I would be investing a lot of time and energy in having an awesome YouTube channel. Now, of course, you're talking to Mr. Mortgage Coach, who I think I've worked pretty hard to create an awesome YouTube channel as a SaaS technology provider, but I just think there's a huge play there. I'm going to just list everything off. I'm going to go to you, Bill, and then I'm going to go to you, Josh, and provide color around that. So, I think the digital marketing, platform, and I'm going to reflect back to my interview with Denise Donahue the other day. She's got a website. It's clean. It's SEO optimized. She's got a picture, promoting herself as the mortgage nerd. Of course, she's got a YouTube channel. She's got an Instagram page. She's got a Facebook group. She even has a Facebook group for realtors. So she's building a community of, I'm a leader, I'm a value provider. So both Facebook page, Facebook group. You'll notice when you go from every channel, she's got the same picture, very intentional. I'm the mortgage nerd, same great photo shot. When you go to the total cost analysis, the way she digitally provides rates and fees and education, same picture. So across all these platforms, same photo, same branding. And of course, let's not forget about LinkedIn. So Bill, anything I missed from that? Just the list of platforms that a modern mortgage professional needs to have.
No, the one thing that I would say is everybody has to remember that success comes from repetition, not diversity. So you don't have to do everything. If you're not a heavy Instagram user, don't bother. If you don't use Twitter regularly, if that's not where all your friends are, don't bother. LinkedIn, pick whatever is because one thing, I'm sorry, I can make all the leads I want off of Facebook, and I don't need anything else. So don't overcomplicate. Just remember this. All marketing, it's not about Facebook or Instagram. It's the same thing it's always been since 1950 when David Ogilvy, the father of modern advertising, said, all marketing comes down to reach, frequency, and impact. You got to reach them. If you don't reach them, it won't work. And that's why organic Facebook isn't very effective because you only reach 16% of your friends on average. And frequency, if you're not in front of them at least 3 times a month, minimum, they need to see about weekly. If you don't see them often enough, it won't work. You need to hear a radio commercial 26 times before you even recognize it. Probably the biggest mistake people make is just shotgunning stuff all over. Oh yeah, I just post and now look at all my views. If it's not the same people over and over and over, it won't work because look up the mirror exposure effect. We like things that are familiar to us. You need to be familiar. It needs to be, oh yeah, I see your stuff all the time. And then last is impact. What brain cells is it going to, because if my stuff isn't impactful, if it doesn't get your attention, if I don't like it, and that's why I was kind of smiling when you're talking about CRMs before, because I'm the biggest CRM guy on the planet. And now I do a presentation called Friends Don't CRM Friends because I haven't gotten anything from a CRM that I actually wanted probably in my life, but I don't need another recipe, a newsletter, a market update, or whatever. Give me stuff that I actually appreciate and care about. Reach, frequency, impact, and these platforms are just the tool. How can I stay in front of the same 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 people repeatedly in some sort of a manner that makes them know, like, and trust me?
I love the way you tied that together. I do want to remind folks, if you took a note just now, make sure you also have multiple websites, like sellerbuydown.com. And I'm sure when we talk to Josh, he's going to talk about, his niche is not just being the digital mayor of his local market, which he has a strategy around. His niche is, physician home loans. It's, if you're a physician or medical professional, it's nationwide. So Josh, how would you, what's missing from what we went through? Any color you want to add or any questions you have for Bill?
Well, if anybody's not following Denise, they should do that. She is really brilliant in her branding and very charismatic, and she's doing a wonderful job. She's a good one to spotlight and follow. I agree with what Bill said completely. Success comes from repetition, not diversity. Did I get that right? Was it diversity, Bill?
Yeah, yeah. People try to do too many things instead of just finding something and going deep.
Totally. And your illustration of the pool installation company that, you know, took, I don't know how many years that was, but like 3 or 4 years of answering questions. And then all of a sudden they were an overnight success. I feel the same way with our content. You know, we've been creating content about doctors and medical professionals and people that are having a hard time qualifying with mortgages for almost 10 years now. And every once in a while, I'll get somebody who says, you know, I read an article of yours, or I watched a YouTube video of yours, and I said, could you send that to me? I'm just curious, like what piece of content you found. And it never ceases to blow my mind that they'll find something that I created 5 years ago or 6 years ago. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was horrendously bad, but it's still paying dividends, right? And the great thing about being horrendously bad is you have an opportunity to improve and be proud of what you're going to do next time. And so I would just say, to your point, that, you know, the process of lead generation, which used to be client finds realtor, realtor controls the MLS data, realtor has power and introduces client to loan officer. It's gone. That is not the way the world works in the next 10 years. And so if we're not finding these clients way farther upstream, I'm talking way farther upstream, like, I wonder if I should buy a house. So actually, I wonder if I could qualify for a mortgage. If you're not figuring out how to connect with that person at that moment, you're too late in the lead funnel, in my opinion. And that just takes creating content consistently and knowing that it is a long-term play, exactly like you said, Bill.
Yeah, I got to tell you, you just popped one into my head. I'm sorry, David, I'm jumping in here, but Josh got me all wound up. It's that way upstream thing. Probably one of my most frustrating things I ever hear is when people talk about bad leads, because I make thousands of leads every month in all kinds of industry. But what we've learned is there's no such thing as bad leads unless you're treating them transactionally. That if you treat every lead like a new contact, all I'm trying to do is grow my database. The people that I want to see me over and over, because there's only 2 marketing functions: growing a database, nurturing a database. Well, if I'm growing my database through, quote, leads, what we found, and this is a Kai McBride stat tracking years of his stuff, 40% of the conversions came in the first 90 days, 48% came in the second 90 days, 12% of them took more than 6 months before they converted. But that'll get you up from, you know, 1.5% to 2 to 8 to 12%, but it's about the friends and the connections and staying in front of them. So one of the techniques that we found to be insanely, I mean, ridiculously effective, I'd love to do, we should turn Josh into an experiment and just make him a guinea pig for people. But I'll take a video, maybe interview you, whatever, something like this, have you talk about some topic mortgage related, a long one that's counterintuitive, 5 minutes long. And we'll put that up and we'll boost it and pay for it to get views. And Google is going to use Facebook's going to use 400,000 variables to learn and evolve and find the people that want to see. And I don't care who you are. You don't have to look as good as Josh Mettle, face for radio. Google, they're going to find the right people. When I have 300, 400, 500 people that have watched me talk on a video about any topic for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I can now create a lookalike audience. And think of it as eHarmony on steroids times 1,000, because there's so much data that they can find the exact people that dig you, man. They dug you enough to watch you talk about closing costs for 3 minutes. And now all of a sudden, I'm marketing only to those exact types of people. And every time I do this, I'll immediately watch my lead costs drop from, you know, 10, 12 bucks down to 4 or 5. And I'm only marketing to people that like, and now it's those same people over and over. Now they're going to see me once a week forever. You got to get that little audience, that 10,000 people, 20,000 people, whatever, that see you every single week. And from that, you become familiar. But it's all about the ones who like you. It's all about that database. But today, the database is the easiest thing in the world. Before, I had to get names, phone numbers, email addresses, keep them up to date. Stuff is always changing. I can't remember. Spam you with nope. Now I can just be in your inbox all the time, and I can harvest you based on importing my list, based on converting my friends into followers, based on you messaged me, you watched my video, you liked, you commented. All those people get scooped into a database for you. Go back to your single days. It's the person, if you had to get a phone number, best person is the one you caught checking you out across the bar. I know who's checking me out across the social media room. And then I can stay in front of those people forever. It's an unbelievable time to be able to build brand. It's easier than it's ever been.
I love this conversation, guys. So one, I just posted a link to an interview I did with Josh a few months ago called How to Generate 10,000 Consumer Direct Leads Annually with Josh. And we went through, it was a pretty quick interview, so I wouldn't call it in detail. But Josh, for anyone that's not familiar with your platform, I mean, how many leads are you generating per year? And how many loans do you think you and your team are going to close this year? I just want to make sure we put some context around this.
Yeah, our team is going to serve 1,250 clients this year. We're going to just nail that goal coming into the last month, which is really exciting. And we generate about 10,000 leads. I just sent an email to my marketing team today that the new bar is 15,000 leads for 2020. And we're going to make that big, giant quantum leap by really implementing the brand scripts and the story brand information that we're digesting and working on implementing right now.
Love it. So guys, did you hear that? And again, Josh has referral partners. So he has partners that give him referrals, realtors, CPAs, financial planners, intentional referral relationships, but he also has a consumer direct platform. And I think, just all the times I've interviewed you, you consider that your number one priority, right? Because that is not only, the mothership of data, but it also makes you more valuable to all your referral partners. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I think that's totally true. I enjoy creating content. There was a book written by Gay Hendricks called The Big Leap. And he talks a lot about finding out what your genius zone is, what things have a positive return on investment, meaning economic return, but what also has a positive return on energy. And what has the most amount of return on energy to me is creating some sort of educational content that will help somebody through a conflict, especially around getting a home loan because of some sort of a challenge. And then positioning that in the market where I get to educate them, and then they get to reach out to me and say, hey man, you really described my situation. Do you think you can help me? And I like that because not only it's a very creative form for me, but it also is something that I get to feed our entire team, and I get to see all the people around me grow. And so that's definitely where I get the highest return on energy and where I'm putting the majority of my time.
Love that. So guys, if you have questions for Josh, or any of us right now, just post those down below. So where do you guys want to take this? Josh, any questions you want to ask, any direction you want to take this interview at this point?
Well, Bill, I could ask you a lot of stuff about Facebook that you have, you've alluded to, but if you want to go there, the question that I would serve up to you is, the conversation I'm having with my marketing team right now is that, all right, we know that we're going to create this story brand script. We're going to create stories about the hero who is our client, and we're going to introduce conflict. We're going to introduce the solutions and why we're a unique provider of those solutions, and we're going to present resolution, how that's going to resolve the internal and external conflicts that those clients have. So that's kind of the content, but what we've noticed recently around Facebook is and Twitter for that matter, we're getting our ads more and more frequently declined and rejected, and less of those approved. So do you have any tips for us on what we should be doing to have a less challenge getting our advertisements approved?
Yeah, it's part of the process on Facebook. So you have to claim that you're in a special ad category today and say it's finance, and so all your targeting goes away. I'll tell you that the real key, because theirs is say no and then deal with it afterwards. Always go to the dispute process with them with a longer, and what I found is, yeah, I get stuff turned down all the time, but when I write a long, detailed explanation back to them, I always get them approved. I frequently get things through without even claiming the special ad category for that same reason. It's just scammers won't take the time to really dispute things and explain things and why we're doing it and why this is this way. And then you just got to kind of learn it. Like, I can't, on a lead form on Facebook, when I was going after real estate investors and one of my fields said, I have 20% down or whatever. Well, you can't ask anything that lets you learn about the person. So instead, I had to change the question to, I understand that this program requires 20% down. I'm not learning, they're just saying I understand. And so it's kind of just a learning process. But just, if you're dealing with Facebook, get used to doing lots of disputes, lots of using the customer support. Nobody will do it. Nobody goes and clicks on the help button. Nobody does the chat. And I'll tell you that the secret trick with Facebook is, if you're spending money there, you will always get invitations in your email. Check your spam box from them saying, hey, I'm an ad specialist. I'll help you get better results. Those are live US-based marketing people that want you to have success on Facebook. Once you reach out to one of them, for any reason, they open a ticket for you. As long as you send them an email every 2 weeks, because it takes 2 weeks for a ticket to get closed, they will stay connected to you. So I have, right now it's Andrea on Facebook, who I can call with any issue and she'll resolve it for me, even though all she wanted to do is talk about how to get better results, and she's the one who taught me this trick. But yeah, use the live people. Just get used to effectively dealing with the disputes, because the disputes are coming or being caused, the declinations, by offshore employees who are just, better to say no and see how people react than to say yes and make a mistake.
Great
That was
point.
gold,
Yeah,
pure gold.
Gosh, so much we could go into on Facebook. You know, I don't have anything to sell. We always joke about that, Dave. You know, I'm the reclusive, introverted nerd that changes his phone number every few years to keep it from ringing so much. And yet I, you know, get millions of views on Facebook every year just from my experiments and tests. I work with a lot of Fortune 500 companies and big corporations and marketing departments with social media departments that are amazing. And yet they just don't seem to understand how to post, how to optimize, what the secrets are. And for me, there's 3 kinds of posts on Facebook. And I'm either trying to grow my database, lead gen, and by the way, the hot ticket for 2019, instead of using the lead gen forms and saying, you know, name, phone number, email, use Messenger. Go for messaging leads. It's, instead of trying to chase somebody down and connecting with 28% of them, which is the average lead connection rate, it's 100%. I've got a screen open right now for one client. They active leads, 5,750 open messaging conversations. It's 100% connect rate. And people get comfortable texting with you before they ever talk to you. That's a huge one when it comes to the lead gen. Message me if you want to get a copy of Message Me. And now you can even collect their data in messages, their messenger lead gen ads. But remember, even if I just put up a video and I say, anybody who watches 1 minute of this video, I want them in my database to get retargeted. The top of funnel can be engagement, it can be clicks, it can be video. I'm harvesting leads through all of those. So that's grow, Nurture, the nurture is anybody that's in my database. This is all of my friends, followers, all of my video viewers, all of my engagers, anybody that I caught checking me out online. I want those people to see me once a week, and I do not need to sell. It doesn't even need to be mortgage related. As long as my logo's in it, hey, it's Bill. This has absolutely nothing to do with mortgage, guys, but it was so cool. I just wanted to share it, blah, 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 blah. Or it might be a funny meme, or it might be, like I said, completely unrelated. I can show hundreds of examples of Tanya Barnett in Tucson, Arizona. 95% of her content is about dogs and cats and raising money and animals. And every 10th or 20th post, she'll say, hey, time to pay some bills. Who do you know who, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't have to be about mortgage. So that's nurture. I need them weekly. They need to see me weekly. And people are always like, don't you have to post 3 times a day? No. If they see you weekly, it's fine. Put up one good post. I like 2 a week, but one's enough. And make sure you get through to them. Don't do it organically, because that's a 16% reach. Make sure they see it. It's a little boost. You got to use reach as the optimization. I'll later share a cheat sheet on how to optimize for each category. But I need them to see me regularly so they never forget me. According to Stratmore, 91% of our clients like us enough to refer us or reuse us, and 12% ever do. What happened to the other 8 out of 10 people, and they forgot you? 3 out of 4 clients can't remember your name 12 months after you close a deal, even though they remember you and they like you. And I can see you, and I remember, and it's just tip of my, nope, they can't even remember your name. You gotta stay in front of them. So there's grow, there's nurture, and then the last one is social validation, which people forget to do this, but when you're putting up videos, you can get all the video views you want at a penny. Some people, it might be as high as 2 cents. Half a cent is no problem. I think I average about 3/10 of a cent. But at a penny a piece, gosh, if I put up my video, put $100 on it, get 10,000 views, now people are seeing all that social validation. I got to tell you, you do that with realtors on their listing videos, that puts them in the top 100th of 1% of real estate agents in the world for views on a video. And you just showed them how to do that. Because when you get 20, 30, 50, 100,000 views a month, I had over 3 million views last year. I probably spent about 11 grand. If you had 100,000 views a month, you'd be famous. So 3 kinds of posts, make sure you hit those 3 and optimize for them.
So Bill, you just gave like 5
I know, I'm
huge
so sorry.
pieces of gold. No, don't be sorry. That was awesome. Are you by 8? Because we've got about 12 minutes left in today's interview. Are you available this Friday between 9 and 10? I would love to have you come back on Friday and literally show everybody, like workshop it. Do you have any time?
Yeah.
By the way, you just shared your desktop. I don't know if you meant to.
Happy to. By the way, I'll put this PowerPoint up at the resource. I keep a resource center up on the web just so when people are always asking, can you send me that? But nurture, you have to use these to grow these. So if you're looking at the screen, here's the rules. And like I said, I'll share this PowerPoint up there for you.
Why don't you share this PowerPoint? And then let's literally get tactical on this this coming Friday and spend some real time on it. Anything else you want to show real quick? I've got one more question before we go into wrap up. But anything else you want to show here?
So many things, but no. Well, here, just to validate this, so you know I'm not full of baloney. Look at this, 5,750 active messaging conversations. Or if you want to look over here, thousands of people, real estate investors. I like them because they do multiple deals a year, but thousands of them. And Facebook is just a knob, guys. It's a knob you can turn for all the business you want once you figure it out. You can see here's a bunch of campaigns. These are leads, results, 227, 1485, 1487. Here's my cost per lead. If I said, oh yeah, I want more of these blah, blah, blah leads, and I'm running 433 a lead, and he said, Bill, I need another 20 of those. Great. I just put another 80, click the button, put another $80 on it, and I'll get another 20. And that's how easy this is. If people will just commit to this, you can just turn the knob up and down as you see fit. You just have to commit to this.
Love that. So I've got one last topic, but I'll close with that. And I want to make sure, Josh, if you have a question, I think you just texted, you might have a challenge for the mortgage coach community. And then I'll close out with one more topic. And then I will send you an invite for this Friday at 9, guys. Friday, 9 o'clock Pacific. We're gonna do more Bill Hillestad on digital marketing. Josh.
I know we've been all over. There's so much good information here and so much we want to share, but I kind of wanted to just recircle back to the process that I've gone through so far in regards to the Story brand. And I guess I want to put a challenge out to you that, if you've read the book, you're like, we're at step 1, 2, or 3. But the next step of that is to go online and then create your brand script. For me, and that's just at mystorybrand.com, and you can create a free brand script there. And I did that for the medical professional clients that we serve. I also did it for just the kind of the normal clients that we serve, more the traditional. And that framework, I think, is one of the most genius frameworks for being able to understand how to get your marketing message out about who you serve and what their story is and how you can tell it in a compelling way. And it's free. It should take you an hour, maybe 2 hours to go through that process. But it is absolutely brilliant. So I would suggest, if you're kind of thinking like, all right, well, where do I go with all this stuff? Number 1, read or listen to the book. While you're read or listening to the book, go to mystorybrand.com, create your brand script. You'll start to just dump your thinking and get clear on your message and how you want to serve and how you can help and what those conflicts that Bill's talking about. The next thing that I did that I think really goes hand in hand is that Donald Miller also has this Business Made Simple University. And basically his challenge, or his why is he wants to educate people to be successful in a much cheaper way than what our colleges are doing right now. The first one, he has a weekly, a daily email that he sends out, a 60-second video that is brilliant, by the way. I suggest everybody sign up for it. And one of his videos he sent out said that, guess what the #1 job of any leader is? And I went, crap, I don't know what that is. I better watch this video. So I went in and I watched this video, and he says the #1 job of a leader is to make sure that everybody in your organization is crystal clear on your mission. And I went, oh my gosh, I've totally dropped the ball. I'm a horrible leader. And so I went into his Business Made Simple University, and I did the mission statements made simple. And what I'm telling you is all this framework works together. It's like, it just dovetails. So you read the book, you create a brand story around the clients that you want to serve. That'll give you tremendous clarity on the content, how you're going to create that content. And that dovetails perfectly into the mission and the vision that you're going to bring to your team. And those 3 things, A, B, C, will bring you unbelievable clarity for 2020. So we've got, 27, 28 days left of December. There's not a person on this call who can't read that book, create a brand script, and get really clear on your mission for 2020. And if you do that, you're going to be a certifiable badass for the year ahead.
Boom. Who wants to be a certifiable badass? I'm in. I'm in. All right, guys. So a couple closing thoughts. We've got 5 minutes left. And this is actually a great setup for a topic I wanted to cover, and we could talk about this more this coming week. But, when I closed out this article on LinkedIn, I put a challenge out, which is, create your own story branding video. And I don't care whether you promote that on Facebook, whether you promote it on Instagram, whether you promote it on YouTube. My recommendation is you promote it on all the channels that you're active on. And I highly recommend, if you do not have a YouTube channel and you're a local mortgage professional, you should have a YouTube channel. You know, if nothing else for the optimization, for the search engine optimization, you should do that. And Bill and I could talk about that in more detail. But I would push you guys, do what Josh recommended first, because if you're not clear on your message, you're not clear on your story brand, and you create this video, it's not going to be as tight. It's not going to be as clear. It's not going to be as powerful. So that is definitely first things first. Get clear on your story brand like you never have been before, but then create content. And remember, your first video isn't going to be perfect. It's going to be iteratively better. And remember, you can create a 1-minute video, then you create a 3-minute video, you create a 5-minute video. You can create a 5-minute video and turn it into a 30-second video. But you do need to create video. So my challenge on top of what Josh just did is do what he said it to do, and then create some videos. And then if you're proud of them and you think they're a good example for the mortgage coach community, share them in our Facebook group. Let's, in the month of December, let's get better as a community at telling our story in unique ways, and then sharing it on our I So guys, we got 4 minutes left. Josh, anything you want to add to that? And are you willing to play the game, Josh? Well, I don't even need to ask you. I know next time you create it, iteratively create your next couple videos, please share those in the group if you're cool with that.
Happy to do it. Absolutely.
Okay. Any questions you have for Bill as we wrap up today's call? Anything you want to make sure we close out on?
Is Facebook still your favorite platform, Bill, or are you moving to another platform where you're putting the majority of your energy?
No, in mortgage and real estate, 93% of the business is coming from Facebook. I use Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn, but I have more than 10,000 page 1 rankings on Google. But if you said you can only have one thing, Facebook's just like cheating right now. Like I said, it's people keep coming to me from different industries saying, "Will it work?" I don't know. I'll try, and I can put up one single post, and as soon as I see it works, now it's just to that knob. I can just, whatever I throw at it, I get leads from it, and now I can nurture people and stay in front of them, because no matter what you send me in my email, I hate my inbox. I'm in mercenary mode when I go there. It's just, my blood pressure's up. I'm in a bad mood. And if I'm in a bad mood and see your name and hit delete, do that enough, I start to but 48% of the women in this country check their Facebook before they put a foot on the ground this morning. Numbers a little smaller for men, but so are our attention spans and our bladders. It's our happy place. It's where we go. And even if people say, I don't use Facebook, yeah, whatever you don't use, I don't do it, but it works to market to me. Yeah, it's it. And by the way, can I just share the one video? This is my guarantee. Anybody who puts up this video and doesn't get at least, I'm not talking leads, doesn't get at least 3 or 4 warm referrals, I'll give you a couple hours of free marketing, consulting, whatever. I charge a lot of money. I'll do it for free. This is a guaranteed warm deal generator every single time, in the easiest video that you've ever shot in your life. It's the closing gift. When you close on a deal with a client, I want you to give them a gift that includes a photo of the home. I like oil paintings. The photo cake is awesome. $24 at Walmart. Pick a picture out of the listing. Show up at closing or wherever you want to do it. I like it at closing. And here's the steps, and the steps are exact. Leave the gift in the lobby. Walk in. Say hi, howdy, how are you? Hey, oh, it's so good, da, da, da. And ask like this, because people don't like to be on video. Hey, listen, I got a little present for you out in the lobby. I'm going to go grab. Would you mind if I record this for my Facebook gallery? Because it's almost impossible for them to say, no, you go get my present, but there will be no videos. You're going to, oh, okay, sure, no problem, because they want the present. You're going to bring it in. You're going to say nice things about them. God, I love working with you, whatever. When you say nice things about them, reciprocity kicks in. They'll say nice stuff back about you frequently. If you need Josh is the guy. Next, you're going to deliver a call to action. If you know Shaylee and Kyle, reach out and congratulate them on their new home while you hold the cake up for the camera. You're now going to post it to your page. You're going to put a boost on it. I suggest $100 to $250. But give me at least $100. When you put that on there, and then you share it to your timeline, your personal timeline, then you share it to their timeline because you're friends with them, you can, 16% of their friends on average are going to see it. And they're going to comment. Even I, who I don't really do Facebook, but oh, congratulations on your new house, Dave. Yummy, delicious. When are we coming over for cake? Whatever, the cake gets a lot of comments. When you do this, Facebook's going to see that rich vein of engagement. They got to spend your money, and now you're going to hit every one of their friends. You're going to hit the friends of their friends. So they might only be friends with 30 people they went to high school with, but everybody they went to high school with, went to college with, worked with, play softball with, you name it, go to church with, they're all going to see it. This video had a $50 boost. Shame on her. It got over 12,000 views.
Wow.
$100 on these. They always get 100, but it's the most common testimonial I get, which is, I just got another deal from somebody that I haven't seen in 30 years, that I'm not even friends with on Facebook, went to high school with, whatever. This is how you grow your database to everybody you've ever met, and you get your clients to refer you and publicly endorse you to everyone they've ever met or known. And you do that from every single closing. If you did this on every purchase closing, you would double your business next year. This video alone, no production, no fancy, just your cell phone.
Boom. I can't wait to hear the results from the community. Josh, are you willing to test this?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's rock it. And Bill, I'll even put at least $100 behind it.
Reach out to me anytime. I'll help you. I'll show your marketing guys what to do.
All right, guys. So, hey, it's been an awesome call. Josh Mettle, thank you for, spending time with us, helping me co-lead this call. Bill Hillestad, I'm having you back this Friday, 9:00 Pacific. If anybody has any questions for Bill, when I post the promotion of it in our Facebook group, post your questions and comments. And that call really will be just like, there was a number of questions that came in today. We'll make sure all those are answered, any new questions, and we will drill down on how to promote your story branded videos in multiple channels. So this call's a wrap. If you got value, give us a like. If you loved it, love it. Share it with your mortgage friends, and have a great day, everybody. This call's a wrap. See you guys later.
See you guys. Thank you.
See you guys. Bye.